Hi everyone, welcome to this video where I will be discussing a bit of the MMR system in Dead by Daylight, and mainly how unfair it can actually be. I recently played a couple of games on stream where I was constantly facing insane survivors where everyone had thousands of hours in the game. I started playing DBD almost exactly 6 months ago, and right now I have about 550 hours collectively. I would say that tens of hours have been spent doing practically nothing in the game, whether it would be sitting in the menu, forgetting to turn the game off, or just playing around in custom games versus bots and stuff like that. But regardless, I have quite some experience in the game. 550 hours is quite some time actually, but it is nothing compared to the players that I was facing. But before we get into one of the games, I want to briefly touch on the MMR subject. Hello everyone, sorry for the interruption. It is future Bappus here, and I realized that I would not be touching on the subject briefly. It turned out that I was recording it for about 10 minutes, which wasn't my intention. So if you want to go ahead and skip to just watching the game, you can do that with the timestamps. And I also want to encourage people to maybe turn on subtitles. I will be subtitling this video because I do mumble a lot, and I know that some people can struggle to understand certain words with my mumbling combined with my accent, so feel free to turn it on if you need to. I have personally watched a ton of DBD content, but rarely have I seen someone explain what the MMR system actually does and how it works. To keep it brief, it is a system that calculates player skill based on numbers alone, so it doesn't account for maybe an insane play that you will pull off during the game that happens during 5 seconds. It's just based on like the numbers that the game collects. The system originally comes from chess, where you also have a common ranking system that you can see on the screen now. I do have some previous experience with MMR and climbing the MMR ladders, as people usually put it, as I have been playing competitive games like League of Legends and Overwatch before I touched Dead by Daylight. There is no real telling what the highest MMR is in most cases. It heavily depends on the players, because a player that has the highest MMR in the game could quickly fall down to having much lower MMR, and there can come new players that reach a new world record of the highest MMR. And especially when it comes to DBD, it is really difficult to tell what the highest MMR actually is. DBD is one of the few multiplayer games where it is essentially impossible to track and calculate your MMR, which has some positive and negative consequences. The biggest and most important reason to why it is positive is that it heavily removes the competitive climb that some people strive after. DBD is not and will never be, and quite frankly shouldn't be, a game that is centered around being the best and climbing competitive ladders. And instead, the community and BHVR want to focus on the simpler game-to-game enjoyment for the player base that suits the type of game that DBD is. On the counterpart, a lot of players, like myself, strive to constantly become better at games and evolve, and being able to track what numeric skill level that you're sitting on heavily helps with this and can help you understand yourself, your capabilities, and your limits a little bit better. And this begs the question, what calculates your MMR and how do they do it? This is the part where it can get really confusing, and nothing here is based on facts, since the facts are really not out there to read about for behavior. But there is still some global things that the vast majority of MMR games have in common. Every new player that enters the game will start on the same MMR. It's hard to tell exactly what MMR this is, but there is usually a beginner MMR. From there on out, the MMR will either go up, down, or stay the same, based on the results that you get from certain games. We do not currently know exactly what the system counts as a win, loss, or draw, but we do have some theories. The baseline is essentially this: if you, as a killer, sacrifice 3 or 4 survivors, that is a win. If you sacrifice 2, that is a draw, and if you sacrifice 1 or less, it will count as a loss. This is, however, all relative. There is a high possibility that you as a killer can get positive MMR from a game if you only sacrifice 2 survivors. Objectively performing well during the game, for example if you have every survivor on death hook and get a high score at the end of the game, could earn you with some positive MMR after the game. The amount of MMR that you gain or lose is also something that there is no real tell in how it works in Dead by Daylight, but something that is extremely common almost 100% of the time in MMR counting is based on yours and your enemy's MMR. For example, if you have 1500 MMR and your opponent has 1500 MMR, you could get a gain of 15 MMR from winning that game. If your opponent instead has 1700 MMR, you could get plus 17, and if they have 1300, you could possibly get plus 13. The same goes for losses. You lose more MMR against players who have lower MMR than yourself, and lose less against players who have more MMR than you. Since DBD is a 1v4 game, it is a lot more difficult to understand the gains and losses of MMR from games, especially when you're playing killer. You might, for example, as a killer have 1500 MMR, and 3 survivors can have 3000 MMR, and then there is one last survivor who has 500 MMR. This could heavily impact how much you gain or lose from the game. Survivors, on the other hand, is more straightforward, more or less, where you will most often get plus MMR from escaping, but if you perform really well and all of your teammates escape, you could also get some positive MMR from that game. And the MMR you gain or lose is mostly based on the killer's MMR. But there is also a possibility that your teammates' MMR can affect your MMR gains and losses, where you could gain more MMR if your teammates have significantly lower MMR than you, which rewards survivors who heavily carries their team, and you could gain a little less if all of your teammates have a much higher MMR than you do. Obviously, this should be taken with a big grain of salt, since I neither have insider information nor have done deep research about the MMR system in DBD, but this should be a solid introduction to the topic for most people. However, if there is something I missed out on or misspoke about, don't hesitate to correct me in the comments. Now, continuing to the game I had. Most people would agree with me that experience doesn't necessarily equal skill. Someone with 1000 hours in DBD could generally be better than someone with 3000 hours. But what about someone who has 1000 hours compared to someone with 12,000 hours? Or someone with 100 hours compared to someone with 1200 hours? This is the difference that I had in this game, where one player had more than 6000 hours compared to my 550. I was convinced during the game that the player I was facing was the professional player Nightlight, whom you might have heard of, who plays for the Team Eternal. This, however, is something I was very much likely wrong with, since the account that Nightlight plays on has 9000 hours, and I doubt he would make a Smurf account where he would sink in 6000 plus hours on. There was no way for me to see what amount of hours the rest of the survivors have in the game, which is why I've summed it up to 7000 plus hours in the thumbnail, which I feel is generous, since I would much guess that the rest of the survivors had more than about 200 hours each. How did this happen though? How does someone have the same MMR and skill level in the DBD MMR system's eyes as someone with 12 times the hours on the game has? You could sum it up to me being insanely good at the game, but I would heavily disagree with that, which is why I want to show you the game. Because I am sure that anyone with the same amount of hours and the same amount of skill as the survivors do will notice how big the difference actually is. I recently merged my Steam and Epic Games accounts, which I think is what caused this. I have a little more than 500 hours on Epic Games and about 40 hours on Steam, but why is the survivors significantly better than the ones now compared to those I played against in Epic Games? Some people might argue that it could be because of Swifts, that some people with low MMR queue up with people with high MMR, and that's why I got into the lobbies, but I heavily doubt that, since I played a lot of games, and in a lot of the games the survivors did not connect at the same time, telling me that they were not actually in a Swift. I honestly have no idea what actually caused it, so please feel free to tell me your theories. However, the most likely scenario is that for some reason behavior expected me to be an insanely good player because I merged an account with few hours with an account with a lot of hours. I recently heard about someone having the same problem, but in the opposite way. I don't remember who it was, but someone also merged their account and noticed that they were constantly playing against heavily new killers and survivors. This might be a problem, but it also might not be. I don't think it happens frequently enough for it to be addressed on a big scale, and I really enjoy this happening to me, since I get to improve a lot and test my skill against very good survivors. I do understand that it might be unfair for the survivors I was being faced with, since they probably would like to play against a much better killer who is on their skill level and not someone like me. This does, however, show a big flaw in the MMR system, which has actually been a popular topic for a while. DBD cannot have a strict MMR system either, because that would result in very long queue times and matchmaking becomes extremely annoying and might even become more unfair. And for these reasons, a big overhaul on MMR could in some ways ruin the game for many people, since a lot of people could be disincentivized to actually play the game. It could be a lot harder for people to enjoy the game, because at the end of the day it is a party game that is meant to be quick. It's supposed to be quick games, quick queue times, and it can heavily ruin that if you constantly have to wait for 5 minutes until you find a game, and during certain hours of the day, like maybe at 3 AM, it will be much harder to actually find players. This also loops back to what I was talking about before, with being able to see your MMR, that there is a problem that some people might take it too seriously and become incredibly competitive and might ruin the fun for other people, which could also be the reason if someone who has high MMR just wants to relax and play the game for fun, being matched with players who take the game too seriously. Anyways, thank you for listening, and here is the game. Bro, like, I know who Nightlight is. I've heard the name before. He's a really fucking high-skilled player. Why am I playing against this, bro? I'm shit at the game. I've played for 500 hours. I don't know. What? Where did she go? What? She disappeared? She has fucking a lucky break? Bruh. Where did she go? I need music on to fucking calm myself down. Oh, bro, look at the fucking agitation. Oh, it's not agitation, is it? What is it called? What's it called? I don't know the name of the perk. I forgot. I'm surprised I got that. I tried to react to the item. Is he gonna play this? I don't know why I can't think of the name of that fucking perk, man. I hear a Nia here. I should turn down. I should pause the music. But I don't want to. I feel like I'll stress out way too much if I have it off. Oh, she actually did it on the first spin. Nice. I thought she'd try to spin around a few more times before using it. She read me, bro. Bro, where'd she go?
Is that all you have?
Stevie is just running around me. I will chase you, Stevie, I promise. I don't know where he is. Stevie! Someone's working that gen, but I'm not gonna go over that. There's so much time wasting. Who's this? Nancy? Yeah. I don't know if she has that hard. She might. I don't know how that even worked. I do not like that this game is going this well, because it shouldn't be. Who was this? Was that a crow? I don't know. Thought I saw someone. I couldn't hear if that gen was being worked on. Because of music. That wasn't close enough. Yeah, with the Kate. Have I hooked her before? I think so, right? She was in my first chase. Oh, egg would have had value there. What? Oh, she didn't get hit. Yeah, we have a Nia there. I don't know about their items. I know she has a medkit. Nancy has a medkit. But I don't know about the other ones.
Just getting started.
Oh yeah, I have Bamboozle. The fuck? I never used that. I need to remember that. It's the same when I go gen kick perks, I always forget to kick gens. I'm kind of not using my perks. Spiritual is down, I need to remember that. Nice. Felt like that might not have hit me, but... Or that I might have been able to get an auto in. They're probably gonna be sitting on this gen, I guess. I think I need to get someone out of the game ASAP. Don't have nowhere to hide. Oh, they were healing here. I can't tell if the breathing is from the game or from the music. Oh, and he is so far back. Someone is here. No, the unicorn didn't give me enough distance. Bro, she faked a fake window. I'm stupid. What an absolute legend. She faked a fake window. And I fell for it. She doesn't get hit here. Oh no! The generator was close to perfection. Still don't know if she has that hard. Doubt she has it though. Okay, we got someone there. I think that was Nancy. Couldn't
I'll
tell.
see you dead.
Oh, she's not on death hook. Shit, I thought I would hit that. I need Looper here. Bad by me. Oh, it's just continuing. That's good, I can pressure 2 people. Unless... Nancy's here. Oh, it's Nia. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to go for the Nia. There's a generator in the middle of this shit, though, which is annoying. Okay. Don't know if I know. What? Let me pick her up. Oh, no one's here. Nobody is here. Can't speak, man. Okay, so I'll try to find the Kate. Try to get something on in the game. I used Bamboozle there, and I barely remembered it. Like, as I was vaulting, I remembered that I had Bamboozle. The gen placement isn't horrible. This progress is f***ing me up though. I don't know what this is. Steve! Steve, bro, I don't want you! I need to... I think they are gonna be here. Fucking hell. Nancy and Kate. Shit. Yeah, she could have seen the Bamboozle. Oh, she didn't. And she doesn't have pallet here either. And I don't think I still know if she has that hard or not. I guess she doesn't. She doesn't play like she does. Bro, that was... I shouldn't have hit. I feel like the hitbox was a bit there. Okay, we got Kate blocking. Which is fine. getting them both injured. I would guess Cade maybe has adrenaline. Okay, Nancy has. Bro, I missed her. Both of them had it. Let's go for the Cade. She's in a worse spot. Let's see what we do here. I need to wait for my bound. Bro, I'm stupid. Is anyone on that? No. Again, does she have that hard? I forgot. Does she? Do I remember her using that hard? I don't know, actually. Oh, she just juked that so well. I shouldn't have greeted for it, though. What? I feel like that should have hit her. I feel like that could have hit her. Let's see if we get a flashlight save. No. Oh, look at that hit, bro! Look at that hit, bro! Let's let him leave. Bro. Hey, that was Steve. Why didn't you want to chase me? I'm sorry for not chasing you. I noticed that you might have wanted me to, but I felt like I would just give out pressure. Like, I do not have many hours in this game. Like, if you look at the Nancy, for example, she has 6.7k hours, and I have about 550 hours. I don't know what happened. My MMR is just super boosted. And I am really bad at the game, which was why I tried to prioritize the players I had already gone after. And you always had so much distance on me when I saw you. You were just insane at avoiding chase. So I'm sorry. I know that Survivor is the most boring thing ever when you don't get chased. It wasn't anything against you. I was just a bit scared of you because you seemed really good. I will try to chase you next time, because surely there will be a next time. Yeah, but I'm sorry. I understand if you had a boring game. It wasn't my intention. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting, or at least entertaining to watch. You can find me live on twitch.tv/imbappus. I don't have a specific stream schedule. I kind of stream whenever I play DBD. I don't take streaming overly serious, sadly. As for the future of this channel, I don't know yet. I don't have super much motivation to continue pumping out videos all the time. I mainly want to focus on making videos whenever I feel like it, and making videos about topics that I find interesting to talk about, like this one, for example. I will most likely be putting out stuff like stream highlights and stuff like that, and a lot of DBD related content, probably only DBD related content. I have 2 videos in the making where I am going to suggest some reworks for every single perk in the game for survivors and killers. So if you think that sounds interesting, I would appreciate if you maybe stuck around in my channel to maybe watch those videos in the future. But until then, I hope you have a great time.